Entrepreneurship Departmental. We are thrilled to have Angela Beeching join us from Boston, right? Today? And Angela is a world-renowned expert in career development and music entrepreneurship, just entrepreneurship education in general. I've known her for some time now. It's been a pleasure to know her, and I think she's going to be a wonderful judge and guest artist for our competition. She will actually be flying in. So all of you can sit in the middle, towards the middle and the front when you come. That's great. She will be our guest judge for the competition, which will take place in April 21st and 22nd. So today is all about making sure you all know about this opportunity that you have, making sure that you have the tips and the resources available to brainstorm and to hopefully put together a business plan, either on your own or as part of the classes that are being offered at UNT. And we're also going to have some of our last year's competitors share their experience and their stories with you all. So it's going to be a wonderful, hopefully informative session for you all. And if you have any questions, we're going to have limited time to answer them in the session, but feel free to write them down in the discussion thread, and we could always get back to them at a later time. So welcome, Angela. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll just let you take it away from here.
Like I say, it's terrific to be here with all of you, and I am so looking forward to coming in April for the competition. And my idea with this, oh, I'm getting an awful echo. Ah, are you guys getting an echo?
No, it's okay.
All right, wait a minute. Let me see if this is going to help. I look so much better with headphones. How is that?
That's great.
Okay, good. Well, let's try and go. I'm still getting an echo, but I'm going to try to.
I can mute it if you want. I can try to mute our side so you don't hear it.
Ah, well, that's going to be a little antiseptic. Well,
just while you're speaking, I'll take it out while waiting.
Okay, we'll give that a whirl. I do want to introduce myself a little bit and tell you guys what I'm doing, but I'm just so, I'm so curious about this music entrepreneurship competition, and I'm wondering how many of you, as you're sitting there right now, are planning on applying. Can I see it? Raise your hands. Good, good, good. Okay, fabulous. I'm wondering how many others of you have sort of a vague idea and you just haven't really honed it in, so you're not sure if you could apply. Anybody in that situation? A few, okay. And is anybody intimidated, maybe a little bit, with the application process itself? Anybody? Okay. I just have to say, I went to that page and I thought, whoa, this is pretty daunting. You know, there's wonderful prizes. You have until, what is it, March 17th, Fabiana, I think. And so you may be feeling like, oh my God, this would be wonderful, but there's a lot to it. So I want to tell you guys a story that maybe could put this into a little bit different perspective. And it has to do with me stepping up to the plate in a way that I never thought I would. So I'll just tell you, I started out as a cellist. I never in a million years thought that I would be doing this music career development stuff or the entrepreneurship thing, because all I cared about was playing the cello. I was pretty limited in my thinking. And what happened when I was in grad school, I complained to the music department. Are there any complainers here? Anybody find themselves complaining? Okay. I feel your pain. So I complained to the department because I thought we should have kind of a specialized music career development office, you know, like a career center just for the music department. I thought this was a reasonable thing to complain about because we wanted information on writing grants, on how to promote ourselves and book more concerts. I just thought there should be help with that. And the chair of the music department told me to write up a proposal. And I didn't even know what a proposal was, but I thought, well, if this will make it happen, I'll write something up, just give them some ideas. And he turned around and said, okay, we're going to make this your teaching assistantship. You get to start this thing. So that was not what I was expecting, him to say. And I wasn't really prepared to do this, but I thought, well, it's something that I want to do for myself, but I also see a need for the other students. And I thought, well, okay, this I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And it was really smart on their part because they got super cheap labor, me, and I was, really into it. So I learned a ton in the process. I just never thought that was going to turn around and bite me in my butt because I was busy becoming a cellist. I went ahead and got a doctorate and I taught for a few years at the university level. And then I got burnt out. And I ended up moving back to Boston, and I ended up at this job at New England Conservatory where I thought, oh, maybe I'll do this for a couple of years, running their career center. And I was there for 17 years because I love working with musicians and helping them find their career path. So really the story of all of this, the purpose of why I'm telling you this deep, dark secret of my life is just that I never expected to end up doing what I'm doing and doing this track of stuff that I love to do. And I was kind of an accidental entrepreneur in a way, because sometimes you have the idea and you don't really see how it's going to be possible. And sometimes it just connects with an opportunity. And suddenly you're leading something that you wouldn't have imagined. And years later, you find, wow, I'm so glad I had that happen. I'm so glad I stepped up. I'm so glad I said yes. So I just want to say my experience with musicians is that every single one of them has some kind of secret project, like a dream project. In my case, it was something I was complaining about, but something in the back of their minds that often they don't tell anybody else. They may be a little bit embarrassed. They may think, oh, this is too ambitious. I could never do it. Or I don't have the time or the money. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough expertise. And they say, maybe next year, maybe next year, maybe next year. And I want to tell you that I end up talking to a lot of people later on in their careers, and that maybe next year never happens. There's always an excuse. There's always some reason we're too busy with what's immediate to take on that ambitious thing. And I just want to say this fabulous competition is your chance to figure out what's the beta version of my dream that I could get going on. I think it's really, really worth it. So the other part I want to say about this is I have experience serving on Fulbright grant committee, selection committees. And I myself had a Fulbright too. And I was always amazed at how few people apply for study abroad or these other kinds of projects. And I had, when I was at New England Conservatory and at Manhattan School of Music, I would work with students who were applying for things. And I just saw this time and time again, the people that actually wrote the draft and then worked on it and reworked on it, what they gained from this process, whether or not they got the grant, was like a sense of confidence and clarity about their real goals, what they're interested in, what they're focused in on. That's the advantage of going for something like this, because it helps you articulate and get behind a direction that you want to take in your career. So I have to say, whether you win or lose, whether there's fabulous, money prizes on this, but there's another prize that really comes from clarifying and getting clear about your goals. So that is pretty much the story that I wanted to tell you guys. And I'm wondering now if any more people might be willing to step up to the plate and apply for this thing.
Can we see a show of hands? Who's maybe considering that wasn't after the? Yay!
That's a start. That's really good. I just don't want to see any of you guys. Let's say we connected 15 years from now, reconnected with all of you, and we all knew that you had some sort of dream project in the back of your mind. I don't want it to be 15, 20 years from now and you haven't gone forward with that, right? So that is really the point here. Okay, I'm hoping people have questions for me. I know I'm going to be one of the judges. I don't know if bribes are are possible, but we'll entertain that. Oh, do people have questions for me about what makes a good proposal or concerns they have?
2 minutes before our time is up with Angela. So any questions at this stage that you'd like to take this opportunity and ask her? Yes.
What do you look for specifically?
Speak loudly so we can hear.
What do you look for specifically?
What? Sorry, what?
What do you look for specifically when you look at a business proposal? What else?
What really catches your eye that stands out against others?
What catches your eye that stands out against others?
Yeah, great. I would say it's very clear in a proposal or in a grant application of any kind when someone is really zeroing in on something specific. So one thing that you can do if you've got an idea for your project, for your plan, is to talk about it with friends and notice the words that you're using and notice the questions they have for you. Because a lot of times we can't tell, are we being super clear about the purpose behind this and how other people will benefit from it. So clarity is actually a big deal. And I have to say, it wasn't till I was writing my own proposals that I had any clue about how important your writing skills are as a musician. I thought, it's all about the audition. It's all about how well you play. I thought, who cares whether I can put a paragraph together or not? And then I realized, the first time I applied for a program and I wasn't accepted, and people were egging me on to try again the next year. And I started to really think, people are really going to read this and they're going to make a decision based just on the pitch that I'm making. So really think it through, proofread like crazy, read it out loud, have several people give you feedback on that. And to say the other thing that sort of shines through in any proposal is the sense of motivation behind the project. And does it seem just self-serving, or do you have a larger mission? Like, how is this going to be benefit to other people? So I'm really glad you brought this up because it's maybe I'm going off on a tangent here, but I run into a lot of musicians who have fabulous ideas for projects, concert series that they want to start, festivals, whatever. And it can seem on the surface like a vanity project. It's like it's about promoting their music, their performance, and that's great. But then you have to ask yourself, is this actually a business? Is there a social entrepreneurship angle to it? Does it benefit other people? So make sure that you're just asking yourself that. What's in it for the audience? What's in it for the community? How do other people benefit? And that can change the way you describe it. And it's the best thing in the world when you get your needs met and you're helping other people. I think it's just to be able to see that your music and your talents are making a difference in the world, that you're making an impact, that's the real prize. Did that get at the question? Maybe more than you wanted. Okay.
Wonderful, Angela. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
Sure.
We can't wait till you're here with us in person and looking forward to a wonderful event. Thank you very much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you next month.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time showing you the resources that we have created for you all to consider preparing for the competition. If you go to our programs page, you may want to make a note of this site. So our main website for the entire program is career.music.unt.edu. In here you have everything that we're doing, and if you go to this tab right here, for the entrepreneurship competition, we have two competitions. We have the entrepreneurship competition and the innovative music programming competition that we launch every fall. So this is the one we do in the spring. If you click here, you'll be able to go to different pages. This is just an overview page with an overview of the dates, the judges, the cash prizes. And if you go to this page right here, competition resources, well, let me start on the competition details. So the competition details require that you prepare either an individual submission or a group submission, a business plan of a minimum of 10 pages, double-spaced, maximum of 20 pages, excluding the cover sheet and table of contents. Here's the formatting guidelines. This is what the structure of the business plan should entail. So these are the main sections that your business plan needs to have. And these are bullet points to help narrow down what needs to be in each one of these sections, right? And so if you scroll down, you have an actual document, series of documents and links and videos that will help you get further details. So this is a wonderful PDF that outlines each one of those sections described in the guidelines for the competition. So in addition to the links and the overall competition details, if you go back to the entrepreneurship competition, you have a specific page full of resources. Last year we had workshops that were offered before the competition, and we recorded these. So they are now available on our page right here. This workshop is 1 hour workshop, step-by-step on how to build a business plan, which was presented with David Cutler remotely. He was our guest judge for a competition last year. So you have that there. You could go at it, and I believe it has by the minute. So if you click here, show more, you can actually narrow down each section of the business plan, what needs to be covered. And this isn't exactly the same format as the guideline that you saw, but it covers the same concepts. So here you can go, one at a time and kind of see what it is to write a business plan. Then we have another workshop that was held after that one, and here we focused on just wrapping up the concepts and final preparation tips and presentation skills, how to present. Because the first section of the competition, you will turn in a written business plan, and it will be judged, and then we will select the finalists and the honorable mentions to present the live pitches in April. So the first section, the first round of the competition is purely written, and then the final rounds are presented, live with the judges. The idea for the actual live competition is that the first day you will present your pitches to the judges, to one judge, and you won't be graded. It will be just like a workshop with a judge. So you will get feedback on improving your pitch. And so then the next day, the Sunday, 22nd, is when we have the live rounds with an audience and all three judges. And so that's when you're actually being graded, and you have an opportunity to earn the Audience Choice Award in addition to whatever happens with the judges deciding. And we have also an honorable mention. who gets to present for the live audience. So there are different stages of the competition. The first stage where you should be focusing right now is the written part. So you don't need to worry about the live presentations or any of that yet. The deadline for submitting your written business plan is March 17th, right after spring break. But after that, if you are selected to pass on to the live rounds, that's when you will present your live pitches, and you will have all the details about that later on. So this page has those 2 workshop videos there, in addition to a variety of additional videos and links that I've curated for you to have, including an overview of how to prepare your financial statements, and all of that. So if you find that you are stuck and you really want to submit a business plan, you can always seek out mentorship support from faculty within the College of Music. Anything you can reach out. There's also the College of Business Network that has amazing professors there that would be happy to be of use. And you can always email me and schedule a time to come by, and I'm happy to provide any support that I can. I won't be judging the competition at all. I'm the director of it, so I really don't mind helping and kind of guiding any one of you that needs a little support as this process goes through. So know that you have resources to reach out for guidance and support as you're going through this, especially if you're not in one of our entrepreneurship courses. So there are ways that you can get the support you need as you prepare this. So I just wanted to make sure you all knew about these resources to prepare the competition. And then of course, in lynda.com, there are many more resources. You have here through UNT an option to log into lynda.com and see many more videos related to developing a business plan. But I think with what you have on this page, it should be enough. Sometimes if you start researching too much and going out there and just getting too many different references and too much information, you may freeze. You don't want it to be too much. Just stay focused on the main elements that you need to do for the plan, and that should be enough. We also have the actual competition documentary that was made. It's a 45-minute documentary where you can see pretty much an overview of the entire event. I highly encourage you to watch that so you can get a sense of what happens in the competition in the live rounds, how the relationship with the judges work, what the feedback looks like, and that'll give you a good overview of what to expect in the competition. So I'll just share with you today our little documentary trailer that we have.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us at our inaugural Music Entrepreneurship Competition. This night marks the culmination of months of work, during which our music students have been brainstorming, collaborating, thinking in innovative ways, and using their outstanding creativity to explore problems that need solutions. It will be a great evening, and I wish all the competitors the best of luck.
competitors from last year's competition, and you're going to have a chance to hear from 2 of our competitors. But I just wanted to really quick go over some of the responses we had from our competitors that I think would be very interesting. One of the questions in the survey was the impact that the competition had on your career and your business. And I think the answers were very revealing. One of the competitors said, the competition forced me to think through and physically write down my business idea, which led to action. I'm not sure I would have actually put my idea into action if I didn't enter the competition. Another answer was, the competition opened my eyes to the many different forms that a career in music can take. Another one was, the competition gave me confidence in my ability to accomplish something on my own, from first being conceived to full production. Then we had one that said, I feel that I have been an advocate for promoting music entrepreneurship and mentorship since the early 1990s, and when jazz education and resources were limited and not widely accepted. This award was the first time I felt my goals and missions were shared and recognized by a reputable institution. And then I had another answer that said, the competition allowed us an opportunity to organize our thoughts and ideas about what our venture would be at its core and how we would approach future work. It also gave us a chance to present our model to other people and receive critique. The competition helped guide our organization into a clearer goal and gave us a public outlet and funding to promote and continue the work we had already set out to do. So this is just a little summary of what your fellow peers experienced, and so I really hope that if you find that you're interested and you have an idea in mind, that you really make use of this opportunity, which is really something designed for College of Music students. If you have an idea for a business that involves working with someone outside of the College of Music, as long as he or she is a UNT student, you're still able to embark on a project. So we actually encourage any sort of interdisciplinary collaboration, anything you would like to do. Don't feel that you're limited only to do it within the College of Music. So that's something I wanted to recommend. So why don't we spend a few minutes now getting to learn about your fellow competitors, fellow students. And now I think it would be helpful if we introduce that video testimonial before you all come out, in case some of you may not have seen it. We have a page here called Music Entrepreneurs, and you'll be able to learn about the different students who have built their projects, their businesses while in school. Many of them have been in the competition, others have not, but I think it would be nice to introduce you all with a video before you come down. So maybe we start with Jen first, so you can get to know her.
We'd like to welcome Jen Guzman. She's a third-year DMA candidate in clarinet performance and a teaching fellow for the Music Entrepreneurship Program. I'm Matt Follison. I'm the teaching assistant for the Music Entrepreneurship Program and a first-year DMA candidate in vocal performance. So Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and how being involved in the Music Entrepreneurship Program helped to get that idea going?
The business plan I wrote last year was called the Allegro Project, and our goal was to bring live classical music to nursing homes in Denver County. When I came to UNT to start my doctorate, I decided to form a woodwind quintet that would have the purpose of going into the community and performing at these nursing homes. And through the research that I did to figure out where we could play, I realized that there were over 20 nursing homes within a 10-minute drive just from UNT's campus.
So tell us how your business came to life.
So it started out in the entrepreneurship class where I had to write a business plan. So I got this big dream down on paper. And then from there, I found an internship opportunity with Texas Winds, an organization that's been bringing classical music to nursing homes in DFW for the last 30 years. At a music business plan competition, the new Westheimer venture competition at the College of Business, I didn't win an award, but 2 of the judges were inspired by my work and they gave their own money to support my program. So because of these donations, my internship and my working relationship with Kathy Barr, the executive director of Texas Winds, we were able to expand the outreach to Denton County. So I was hired as the program director for Denton. I scheduled the concerts, I raised the funds, and I even perform in the concerts. And so far this fall, we provided music at 7. My favorite parts have to be the entrepreneurship competition that we had at the Riverside last spring. And also the various guest speakers and artists that come in to talk to us about their story and how they're entrepreneurial.
Hey Jen, so how do you see your opportunities in music and your career differently now after taking some of the music entrepreneurship courses?
I feel very empowered to take any of my big dreams, get them down on paper, and make them come to life.
What would you say to music students, especially newer students just starting out, who maybe are busy practicing all the time, busy with other coursework, not sure if they can make time for the music entrepreneurship coursework in addition to everything else they have going on? What would you say to them?
I would urge everybody to think about the important tasks that are not just urgent. Often we get really busy doing all the things that are due tomorrow and due next week, and those are very important. But there's also some long-term things that are going to further your career that they're not due tomorrow. Nobody's holding you accountable. So to hold yourself accountable, to get these things done, like writing a resume, building a website, writing your business plan, networking with people, those are the things that are going to long-term going to help your career. And when you graduate, you're going to be really happy you did it, but no one's telling you to do it right now. So I would say you have to be your own coach. And if you want to get better at that, signing up for these classes is a way to give structure to those long-term plans.
All right, Jen, well, thank you for your time today and for sharing all your insights. I think it'll be a great benefit to the students.
Thank you. So I don't know why the audio is so low, but I think I don't know why. We'll have to look into that maybe. Why don't you come down and maybe talk to the students a little bit. So hopefully you all have some questions for Jen. And after Jen, we're going to have the members of Eclective come down. So maybe I can do a little chair. Okay. You want to stand? Okay.
So you heard my story. I don't really need to tell you any more about that, but do you have any questions for me about my experience in the competition or preparing for that? I just entered with the Allegro project, the store. The business, my husband and I opened a store in the fall, and we didn't enter the competition, but used some of the skills that I used to build that business plan to write our other business plan.
You said you were part of the program that was first most before, right? So how did you make the business model different from what you were already at?
So actually, I came to school thinking that this is something that I wanted to set up, and I had my own idea about it. And then as I was writing the business plan for it, I was doing market research to see who my competitors were and what else was happening in this field. And I came across Texas Winds. And so I joined their team because we had similar missions and I had an opportunity to join. So the missions were pretty similar, which is why it's a great fit now, and I'm happy doing the work.
But you raised substantial funds.
Yeah, I
you
did,
launched
yeah.
your chapter in Denton, which didn't exist.
Right, exactly. So because I won the money by participating in this competition and the College of Business competition, that's why the Texas Winds was able to hire me and expand.
And
to
also
Denton.
because of that, you were able to receive donations, which without them you wouldn't have been able to.
Right. Yeah, for nonprofit work, you can't just take money from people and do stuff. You have to have a status that allows you to accept money. So,
What is the status called?
nonprofit status? Yeah, nonprofit status. So I'm really lucky that I found Texas Winds, and they basically helped me make something come true that I wanted to do before, and they've been doing the same thing. So.
The week before Jen presented her plan in the business plan competition, we put this hypothetical scenario. What if people will be willing to give you money right then and there? And there was something that Jen hadn't really thought it would become so possible. And so we said, it would be great if you have an answer. If someone is willing to give you money right there, you need to have a way. She obviously didn't have her own entity at that point. So by partnering with Texas Winds, she was able to receive the donations, make them tax deductible to the donors, and use Texas Winds status as an umbrella. So that's something that many of you can consider doing. It's called fiscal sponsorship. So if you want to be able to receive donations now, you can do it as long as you find another larger nonprofit organization that covers you. Yes?
The competition money, though, isn't a donation, is it?
No, it's a scholarship. It comes as a scholarship.
Okay.
But when she went to the College of Business, there were 2 judges there that wanted to donate to her $5,000, and they were able to do that because she had that avenue, which a week before she did it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So I got hired by Texas Winds, and then I was able to accept that money and use it.
How important do you think it is to have a unique idea versus a successful idea or something more realistic, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so the importance of a unique idea versus a successful idea. I think there has to be a partnership between those two things. People want to, I think as musicians, we have an edge over people. Most of our missions or ideas have something to do with the heart or about building community, and so a lot of people feel compelled to action when there's that heart in it. But if you have no real plan about how you would use the money, how you would grow, what specific things you'd be doing with that money, then someone might not be willing to invest in you. So I think it has to be the right amount of heart and head. Does that answer, or what else do you?
It does a little bit. I just mean like in the overall, like, yeah, I think it does.
You don't always have to come up with ideas that are completely unheard of. There is such a thing as having an innovator type of business, and there's also a follower type of business. You don't always need to be reinventing the wheel. It's great if you are able to, but you always want to find something, as you said, that is likely to be successful as well. So sometimes you may actually see an existing business or an existing model that you may want to replicate just in your own way with some additional things or additional concepts that you may want to make it a little different. So you don't always have to come up with something completely unheard of. There is such a thing as a follower business, and it can be as valuable and many times, sometimes more successful than a brand new idea where the audience is probably not expecting it. So there are several ways to go about creating businesses, and they don't all have to be completely unheard of.
Okay, so it's not as intimidating as I thought.
Yeah, it's called a follower type business. I mean, and actually, in many ways, that's a little safer because you see a model that has already been established, that you can gauge whether it's been successful or not and learn from that in order to make your own, versus starting something that completely doesn't exist. You know, you have to have a very good idea of how to do that. Yeah.
Sarah?
So back to like the fiscal sponsorship, is that only for like nonprofit and donations or like?
Yes, it's just for nonprofits, and a good website is at Fractured Atlas. Is that the resource, Dr. Claure?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a project like that and you can't apply for nonprofit status, or that's not what you want to do, but you want to receive money, you can get a fiscal sponsor, and Fractured Atlas is a great place that you can go look for the rates and options there. Pedro.
How do you look about marketing right now as you're actually doing the business? What's your strategy for acquiring donations to keep running your project?
To grow my customer base.
Yeah.
So for this organization, it's a lot of on the phone and like in-person interactions, because I'm calling nursing facilities to basically show them why they should spend their activities budget on Texas Wins. So it's not so much, I'm not really doing Facebook or social media. That's not the target market that I'm going after. It doesn't really use that as much as they do just in person. So for mine, yeah, I'm calling, I'm going to the nursing homes and making that connection. And we have like some pamphlets. And Texas Wins, they do their own marketing. You know, the organization does their own marketing.
So Jen is actually interesting because she has a nonprofit and a for-profit. Her for-profit is this business that we're not going to look into too much, but I did want to mention it. She and her husband, she mentioned it earlier, they opened a storefront in the square last November. And they have a for-profit store where they sell accessories for woodwind instruments, right? And brass instruments. So she's actually tipping into both worlds, having a nonprofit and a for-profit. And she's also the teaching fellow for the entrepreneurship program. So she teaches a class for undergraduates. Many of you are probably in her class. So, you know, this is really great. Please look her up. Look up her businesses on our page. I want to give some time for Eclective. But
yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to say I'm also happy to meet if anyone wants to talk a little more in depth about my experience in the competition, or you want some help getting your business plan together. I'm happy to meet with you. So
thank you, Jen.
Yep.
Why doesn't Eclective come down? I don't know if we have time to watch your video, but hopefully you all watch their video.
UNT.
So it's really cool. I like the video. But I prefer you guys come down and just talk because we have only 10 minutes left. So come on down, guys. Hopefully you all watched the video that we sent. We sent it, right, in an email? So if not, you can go back and take a look at it. But Eclective was our first prize winner in the undergraduate track. We have 2 tracks, one for undergraduate students and one for graduate students. So they received $5,000 and first prize in the competition. And so share with us what it was like.
Well, I think ours is a little different because it came from a group perspective. And what our project kind of entailed as far as presenting that to the judges, because the other group of students that we were competing with was that jazz ensemble, and so theirs was from more of a like, hey, let us play concerts perspective. So I think whoever asked earlier, what is the judge looking for? What would you look into specifically? It's really kind of what would pique their interest. If you were to tell it to a person as like an elevator pitch, would you capture their attention and have something that's not just, well, we have people playing jazz gigs already, why is yours any different? So you guys don't know, ours is about being a art collective. So rather than just music composition, just getting together and playing guitar quartets like David Cutler thought we were doing.
He thought we were a band at first.
He thought we were a band. Yeah. So just kind of being able to really clearly define what you do. Ours is about collaborating with other mediums, so people in the RTFP building, doing dance, doing film, things like that. I think some of you actually came to our film screening, which we did, which was kind of the first culmination of our projects with Eclective, and using our winnings scholarship that we got was to put that together. It was a film that we all scored in Eclective, and then Brennan, our director of film, worked on producing, and we collaborated with choreographers and dancers for that. So it's kind of our
So
initial.
your team was based on the 4 composers and a filmmaker, right? That was it?
5 of us and a filmmaker.
5 of you and a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah.
Anybody considering doing a group? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, how was that working different, like the group dynamic, instead of like coming up with it on your own? Did you prefer it, or?
Well, it was less work. Like for the business plan, we split it up.
Yeah.
A lot of the whole process, because there were 5 of us, it was very manageable, especially with our individual, where we have a lot of schoolwork, like all of you guys. So.
Yeah, and it was kind of nice too, because we could each delve into what we kind of knew a little bit more. So Evan and I worked on putting together the financial things, looking into numbers and money things. Grant knows kind of more of the venues and things in Denton better, so called them, priced them out, had ideas of initial places that we could have performances, because that's part of it, is your market analysis and research, as far as what is entailed for that. What did you do, Austin?
I did market stuff.
You did market stuff too? Yeah. So I think it was nice. It got us into a good setup of then having our board meetings, because our end goal is to establish a 501(c) status and have that, which requires you to have a board of directors to hold meetings regularly and follow like actual legal constructs. And so it was kind of nice to set up our business before it was sort of official, but into having that mindset.
And I think going through the process of the competition really solidified for us that we actually can sort of like make this a real thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because it was, and I mean, I guess that's what you're getting at. Mm-hmm. But sorry, who was?
Okay. I was just going to ask, with such a large group, we only have, is it a 4-minute pitch?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How did you guys organize that? Did you delegate one person to
No,
deal with
they
it?
all spoke.
You all spoke.
I think that's part of the
Yeah,
requirements.
yeah.
We all had.
Yeah, they all have to speak. They did a good job actually, because you were 5 of you, right? 6 of you.
Yeah, we really
just divided it out. Each kind of had a point to make, and then we just stepped forward and did it.
In what each of us felt most comfortable talking about. It wasn't here's 5 points, how do we divvy them up? It was, what really speaks to you as something you would want to share with the judges and the audience, because you're presenting to the audience as well, who is here. And so
and you
that
have the slides in the back.
the slides in the background, and so not being too reliant on that. I know a couple groups kind of did the whole let me read off it thing, so really connecting with the audience and the judges was helpful. We spent that night before, actually, after we had the guest workshop, in Willis Library for, I don't know, five hours or so.
Well, we
redoing it again.
Our original presentation, David Cutler tore us apart and said it was terrible.
He's like, I thought you were a band.
Yeah,
This
he was
is
like, I don't know
awful.
what you guys are. And
what is the color scheme? What is that font? What are these pictures?
It
Yeah.
was like the night before or something.
Yeah,
That night we went redid our whole spiel.
Did he dip better than?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, oh my gosh, that was great.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And you can watch pieces of the two versions in the documentary, so you can see a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Of the first page,
Honestly,
and then you can see the final round, what it looked like.
Yeah,
Very theatrical.
The first one's a little rough, but the second one was good. The second one honestly took like the Shark Tank like pitch approach of like getting someone's attention from the get-go and having a story to tell them.
We like to call it a musician's aquarium here.
Oh, there you go. All right. I like that.
Friendly environment. They're already scared enough as it is. We don't want to get this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do kind of something. So when you guys said more of like a collaborative music ensemble, think like down these maybe my music or something like that. How did you answer the question that we all get constantly, like how are you going to make profit? How are you going to run the business? That's kind of something we're grilled on a lot. So how did you answer that?
Well, a lot of the market research helped with that because I was initially kind of skeptical and tentative about how it could be a thing, but looking into not only the venues that would allow you to do things, but other groups that are doing that. So like you say, Del Niente, Room Full of Teeth, things like that are groups that are doing that successfully, gives you that initial kind of backing of others are doing this successfully, but then you have to balance that with, or contrast it with, how do I fit into that? Why would someone come to something that I'm doing versus Del Niente? And so ours was the idea of having multiple mediums come together, and the fact that our kind of initial makeup is inviting of performers and individuals that would come to us with ideas and projects.
But you also had something you would give out from the event afterwards, right? You had something that you would give so they could take with them after the
Just the continual idea of engagement, in that it wasn't a one-time sort of deal there, like existing so temporally. I mean, you all know this as musicians. You practice your jury pieces, you work on your concert pieces, and the concert comes and goes, and it's like, cool, I can go listen to it on the archives if I want to. Or the jury piece, great, played it in Vertman, it's done and over with. Like that's something you worked really hard for. So creating something that exists outside of that concert setting was something we really wanted to emphasize.
So do you apply for grants and things like that as well to get money in to support your new ventures? Is that part of?
We haven't.
Or is that in your future
but, I mean,
plans?
That would be the whole plan. Yeah.
Like when it's becoming financially sustainable, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Our current looking into things was we've moved into senior year for all of us, so that entails graduate school applications and trying to get out of this place and graduate with that in the first place. But our kind of smaller term projects, the film was really all hands on deck, all of us making something cohesive. Evan and I are currently working on a composition project with the cybersecurity department that we have here, doing things with that.
You had someone hired from the theater department.
Yeah, we did the score for the Crucible. Grant knows a lot about that.
We got, oh gosh, commission.
Give us the Andy spiel.
Oh yeah, I had actually previously worked with Andy Harris, director with the theater department at UNT, on a show called Melissa's Choice. So kind of had that connection, and then he had asked Dr. Klein if there were any students who wanted to write for the Crucible, and so then of course they asked, he asked me because he knew me. And
the Crucible was a play?
Yeah, the play. Arthur Miller, I don't know if you guys, do you know The Crucible?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so they did it, that was last semester, I guess. Yeah, and so that was a really cool experience. We kind of split up the different scenes, or like just split the whole thing into chunks, and each took a part and wrote it. And yeah, it was a good experience.
It was fun. It turned out really well, and it was nice to have something cohesive like that, but also it's cool to have that in our portfolios. Working on that has been neat. Yeah, coming from like the composer background, it's not so much I've played in this ensemble or I have this rep for audition. It's like, well, I've worked with this department and this is in my portfolio and I know this technology and things like that. So it's kind of what we've studied here as our major, at least from my perspective, has kind of been reflected in what I'm doing career-wise, because obviously that's what I'm trying to get better at. I'm not a great classical guitarist by any means, but I'm pretty well versed in all the softwares that we use. So that's kind of the half and half things. If you come from the performance background and degree side of things, that might be what you focus on more than the daunting idea of like, oh, how do I mix and master an album? Yeah.
So I think we're pretty much out of time. But thank you